Hello everyone, today's video discusses the fee payer risk in relation to the new off-payroll rules and how agencies might try to mitigate against that risk. As you'll know from other content on the Navigator portal, from the 6th of April 2021, end clients become legally responsible for determining the tax status of any PSC contractors they engage, whether that's directly or through an agency. Clients are required to take what HMRC calls reasonable care when they make those tax status assessments. And if clients can't prove they've taken reasonable care, they will be liable for any unpaid taxes or national insurance for any PSC assignments. However, clients aren't required to get every single assessment correct in order to discharge their duty of reasonable care. And by correct, I mean whether an individual SDS, status determination statement, issued by the client reaches the correct conclusion as to whether a PSC is inside or outside IR35 for a particular engagement. I'm going to use a scenario to kind of illustrate the issue. So a medium-sized end client undertakes assessments on their 20 PSC roles. And by and large, that client does a good job. They take good advice from qualified experts. They educate and inform their staff both about the new rules and the principles that underpin IR35, and they ensure the right people in their business are involved in answering questions about day-to-day working practices in order to make an informed decision about status. Now, it's likely in this scenario that HMRC would consider that client to have discharged its duty of reasonable care. You would think, therefore, that HMRC would simply close its inquiry or investigation and move on to another client because reasonable care has been established. However, HMRC's remit doesn't end there. As part of their compliance inquiry, HMRC may choose to look into some or all of the status determinations issued by that client, even though HMRC knows reasonable care has been taken. So going back to our scenario, HMRC looks into each of the status assessments and they decide that 3 of the SDSs out of the 20 were wrong. The client determined those PSCs to be outside IR35, but HMRC disagrees and believes they should have been deemed inside IR35. Now, obviously, because the client issued that SDS to its agency, well, the agency has paid those contractors affected by those 3 wrong SDSs. They've paid them gross, that is, without any deductions for tax or national insurance. Now, in these circumstances, it's not the client who holds liability for these 3 incorrect SDSs. It's the fee payer. That's the agency who is closest to the PSC in the payment chain. They're the ones that have to pay all the unpaid taxes, national insurance, and apprenticeship levy contributions, if applicable. They're also responsible for any interest and potentially additional penalties as well. And those liabilities can add up to tens of thousands of pounds per contractor per tax year. That is the fee payer risk. And it's the way that the public sector rules operate at the moment as well. So this isn't new. It's not a new obligation or liability, and this isn't an oversight on HMRC's part that might be rectified at some point in the future. It's a deliberate policy decision to make sure that someone in the supply chain is liable and responsible for that lost tax revenue. Now, we don't know how much HMRC intends to use this fee payer liability to their advantage. It may be that their enforcement focuses mostly on end clients and whether they've taken reasonable care, as opposed to investigating individual assignments. But the point is we don't know, and the scale of the liabilities makes that unknown really scary. So what options do agencies have to mitigate or reduce this fee payer risk? There are 2 main ways. The first is for you as an agency to do whatever you can to ensure that your clients do more than just assess their PSCs with reasonable care, that they correctly assess status for every single PSC assignment. And the best way to do that is for you to find and partner with an expert external IR35 assessor. You encourage your client to engage that assessor to conduct the IR35 assessments on the client's behalf. That way you have much more confidence that the assessments are correct, which in turn means there's no liability on anyone in the chain. Alternatively, or even in addition to the first option, you can look for a partner who offers to sit in the contractual chain to become the fee payer instead of you. This is a good option for agencies wanting to avoid the fee payer liabilities altogether, but you do need to understand exactly how this new fee payer will deal with determinations issued by the client. That's because there are separate transfer of liability provisions within the off-payroll rules that allow HMRC to pursue other parties in the supply chain if they cannot recover the tax and national insurance from the fee payer because, for example, the fee payer has ceased to exist. So if you want to consider this option, always check that the partner who is going to become the fee payer is a well-established business, that they will follow the client's determinations, and preferably that the IR35 assessments and payments made are insured by a reputable insurer. All of these conditions combined make it far less likely that this new fee payer will dissolve if investigated by HMRC. And that means no transfer of liabilities to any other parties, and you as the agency are completely protected. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.